Is open to the public comment. We have 3 to 5 minutes with no redundancy, then closed for public input. This is followed by a discussion of commission members. The zoning commission will have a motion to approve or deny the request. The commission will then have a roll call vote. This decision is sent to the board of trustees. Okay, we don't have anything else. Before we go any farther, would everybody please silence their cell phone? Okay, the next item on the agenda is a final development plan, minor amendment.
Oops.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next on, I just changed it. Next on the agenda is a comprehensive.
The microphones have been acting very poorly recently.
Is a comprehensive plan advisory committee discussion.
There you go.
Mr. Mills.
Thank you. Okay, so this is very exciting. The township has made the decision to move ahead with an update of our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan was last updated in 2005, since then, just driving down Colerain Avenue, it's easy to see how much has changed since 2005. We've been through a recession. We've come out of the recession, and Stone Creek was just a twinkle in our eye at that point, and the revitalization of Northgate Mall. All these things lead us to the realization that it's time to take another look at the vision that we we memorialize in our comprehensive plan. So the trustees have allocated the funds, and we have begun to get the process underway. And I wanted to take a second to, first of all, share with you that that you all have been selected as the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. It's going to be the 5 members of the Zoning Commission and the 2 alternates. There's going to be 7 members on the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. Yeah, your role, as I see it, has a lot to do with sort of advise and consent. So, we'll have a project management team that'll consist of the planning director, land use planner Julia Brodsky, and Liz Fields from McBride-Dale Clarion, along with a young man who is working on his planning degree at UC. That project management team will be down in the trenches churning out the work products for your review, and ultimately your role is going to be to make that product better and get us to a point where we have something that can be recommended for approval to the trustees. We have been incredibly ambitious about our schedule, and before I get into the schedule, there's one more organization, one more group that's going to be involved, and that's the Technical Advisory Committee. That committee is going to be made up of all of the agencies that play a role in development in the township. So we're looking to roll in all of the policy plans, the capital plans, the physical plans from organizations like Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation, OKI, Hamilton County Regional Planning. All those folks will have a seat at the table. Before I get too much more into the process, I wanted to, Ms. Fields is here, and I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce Liz Fields to you. Liz, would you mind stepping up to the microphone and just sharing a little bit of your background and introduce yourself to the commission?
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Again, my name is Liz Fields with McBride-Dale Clarion. We're a local planning and zoning consultant team, and we're really excited to be working with Colerain Township. This is an exciting opportunity. We did the comprehensive plan for Colerain Township 10 years ago, and I was not with the firm at that time, but it's a great opportunity to kind of update some good work that we did 10 years ago. I have my degree in planning from UC. I'm originally from Columbus, but got my degree in planning at UC, and then did 5 years of planning in the public sector in Colorado. So I worked for 2 different jurisdictions in Colorado as a city planner, and then have been now with McBride-Dale for 2 years. Since then, they've put me on most of the local Cincinnati projects, so I've been working with pretty much a lot of the Cincinnati communities, Deerfield Township, Loveland, Mason, Springdale, Blue Ash, Sharonville, and been working on comprehensive plans and zoning codes for all those communities. So we have a lot of experience and are really excited to work with the township.
I'm sorry.
Questions for me?
Bearcats or Buckeyes?
Both.
Politician.
My dad was a professor at Ohio State, so I have a little bit of in-ground blood in Ohio State.
Okay.
Cool. We'll let that slide. Okay, so Liz brings a huge amount of experience, and Greg Dale will also be working on this plan. So we've assembled the teams, and as I mentioned briefly, we have a pretty aggressive community outreach scheduled. I talked on Waycross about this last week, but I cannot overemphasize the importance of having people come out to these community outreach sessions. I mean, this is your opportunity to engage very fully with the township and share with us, not just your vision for the township, but let's get down into your neighborhood. What is it that you like? What are the assets in your neighborhood? What are the opportunities for improvement? And the way that we're going to gather that feedback is through a series of public meetings out in the neighborhood. So if I could just very quickly go through our schedule for community outreach. And by the way, these schedules are posted online, and they will be, if they're not already, on our Facebook page. They're also available in hard copy here at the Township office, 4200 Springdale. So the schedules, we're getting out into all the neighborhoods. We'll be in Beavis Pleasant Run neighborhood and on May 6th. That's going to be at the Houston Conference Center on Compton Road. The old elementary school there, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Again, that's the Beavis Pleasant Run, Colerain Avenue, Northbrook, Groesbeck, all those communities. We'll be reaching out to you on May 6th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Houston Conference Center. If you're in White Oak, we're going to be meeting with you at the White Oak Christian Church on Blue Rock Road from 6:30 to 8:30 Wednesday, May 13th. If you live along Harrison Avenue or in that general area, we will be meeting with you at the Clifford Family YMCA on Cheviot Road from 6:30 to 8:30 Thursday, May 14th. If you're in the Miami River South area, Dale Views, Peach Grove, Springdale, Blue Rock, all those neighborhoods, we'll be at Hope Lutheran Church on Blue Rock Road from 6:30 to 8:30 on Wednesday, May 20th. And if you're in sort of the northwest, Dunlop, Rural North, Banklet Creek, Pebble Creek, Dry Ridge, those neighborhoods, will meet at the Viniclet Winery on Old Colerain from 6:30 to 8:30 Thursday, May 28th. Again, I know that we just went through those very quickly, but that information is available on our website, Facebook, and also here at the township offices. There's also going to be other opportunities to engage. We're going to be at the Safety Day, I believe it's Saturday, May 9th at Northgate Mall. Our goal is to, again, solicit your vision. We need you. We need residents to come out. Bring a friend, bring 5 friends. It's important, and this is your opportunity. That having been said, I'd be happy to answer any questions about any questions you may have.
Are these being mailed to the residents?
They are not being mailed. No. So I look forward to it. It's a big deal. I guess the only other thing that I'll add is that my thought at this point is as we sort of as a society change the way we interact with information, it's very difficult to wade through a document that's 100 pages long and find exactly what you're looking for. I think that we're interacting with information in a different way now, and I'd like the comp plan to reflect that. My vision for the final work product is less of a document and more of a website that will get you to the information that you need in just a couple of clicks rather than downloading a PDF and wading through that document. Also, I want this document to be, it's a comprehensive plan, so in some ways there are overarching development policies that will be a part of it. But I want this to be a strategic document as well, and I want the focus or the geography that we're going to be focusing on to be at the neighborhood level, because that's where I think we have the opportunity to make the greatest impact. So when we go out to these neighborhoods, we literally are looking for strategic interventions to build on assets, but also to address opportunities for improvement. So, I think that those goals are lofty, but my hope is that we'll be able to achieve them in short order. So,
We may be too early in the season, but do you know if we have people on weekends yet at the parks checking passes and selling passes?
it's a good question.
Because if we do,
we could hand those out.
these should be in their hands, and if the people are residents, we should hand them one.
That's exactly why you're on the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. Yeah. That's great. That's a fantastic idea. Okay, so that's all I have on that agenda item.
Now, next on the agenda is minor amendment to final development plan, case ZA 2013-03, sanctuary point minor amendment. Staff?
Yes. Our standby clicker here. Okay, so the applicant in this case is Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab Center. They are located not on Colerain Avenue, as it says on that slide, but on Hamilton Avenue, in the corner of Hamilton and Crest. You'll recall that it was a vacant piece of property that is now home to a state-of-the-art nursing and rehab center, and I might add, it looks fantastic. They're set to get their occupancy in the next couple of months, at least temporarily, and I'm very excited to see that progress. The issue at hand tonight is related to signage. So what we have is a minor modification to the final development plan. This project originally went through the Zoning Commission back in 2013. It received final approval by the trustees in October of 2013, and final development plan approval in December of that year. The site plan, this is frustrating. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and talk from here. Okay, so you'll notice the site is at the corner of Crest and Hamilton, in the middle on the right-hand side, at the very edge of our township. It's currently zoned planned development business. And the aerial image got skipped over, but here is a view of the approved final development plan. The addition that we're talking about this evening is a sign at the north entrance. Actually, it's planned north, but it's actually the west entrance there on the top of the screen. And it's a small entrance sign that will better direct ambulances and service vehicles to the site and keep them off of the main road. The sign is rather indescript, and the staff recommendation, other descriptions of the sign are in your packet, square footage, height, that sort of thing. But the staff recommends in this case approval of this minor modification to the final development plan. And I may also add that in addition to the additional sign on the west entrance, the eastern entrance there has a sign shown at the very intersection of Hamilton and Crest, and they're asking to relocate that sign westward toward the closer to the entrance, so that it is better able to communicate the direction of flow.
Does the applicant wish to address this?
Good evening. My name is Chase Cohn with Sanctuary Point Nursing and Rehab Center. I noticed when I came in and I was looking at the agenda, we got started on this project in 2013 in July, and our hope is actually before July, but our hope is actually to open our doors in early July. And thank you guys along the way for helping us. As we're preparing for our opening, we wanted to finalize things on the sign. We are asking both for the additional identification sign on the western entrance on Crest Road, as well as a variance for the size of the signs. My understanding is you permit 2x2 signage, identification sign. Honestly, as you can see from the handout that depicts sign A, sign B, and sign C, we're really talking about sign B and sign C. Sign A is actually already constructed, and that was approved, and we're just waiting for the lettering. I'm waiting for approval on the lettering. That will go up sometime in the next couple of weeks. We're asking for a little bit of a larger sign and sign B, namely for visibility, and I think just to be welcoming. That eastern entrance on Crest Road will serve as our main entrance for visitors. We certainly just want to help direct traffic that way. It's essentially a monument sign, and it's meant to look like the sign that's along Hamilton Avenue. So it's got the same physical structure with some of the stone in the ephes face. The second sign along the western entrance is specifically for ambulance and delivery. And I might add that I think that this is very important given that we back up to some residential, and I'm looking to avoid having delivery trucks or ambulances drive through the residential neighborhood. And I think just having some signage there a little bit larger than 2x2 may help. We have similar signage at some of our other facilities. And that sign is simply an aluminum sign with a logo and some direction. You'll also note, and it's too small for me to read right now, somewhere on here, we talk about having some illumination just for those signs. We've tried to be very particular about the lighting on the property to respect the neighbors, and what we're asking for is the ability to simply illuminate each of those signs with lighting facing the signs, not spread out to the neighbors or to neighboring houses, or to block to go right up into, say, the condominium complex, Regency Square, next to us. Thank you for your consideration. The only other thing I will add, just because I have your ear for a moment, and I've discussed this with Jeff and Frank actually, is we have a fairly large right-of-way along Hamilton Avenue, and we're in our final stages of installing our landscaping, which I think is going to be really beautiful. My concern is no one's going to see the landscaping, and the landscaping is not going to be able to sustain itself, in part because of the right-of-way and the lack of maintenance by ODOT along Hamilton Avenue for the right-of-way. If you drive by now, you will see cowtails grown probably as high, if not higher, than the monument sign that we have along Hamilton Avenue. If you have any influence, I'm asking that perhaps through the township, you guys use some influence with ODOT. I know that this is essentially the northeast gateway to the township. It's our property. I think we both have mutual interest that it look beautiful and that it look nice. I'm not asking that someone at ODOT come and pick up the trash that's in the right-of-way. I know that will never happen. But if you guys have any influence to help kind of get some of it maintained a little bit better, you have my many thanks. Thank you. Questions?
Mr. House Speaker.
Who owns the vacant lot now?
We do.
Okay. So, Jeff?
Yes.
How is this going to affect if they want to put anything in here, more signage? So how are we going to control with if it's not a parking lot and want to do an outlot of, I don't know, whatever?
MOB.
That's fine. So then we've got 3 signs. Are we going to add to these signs or make them bigger? Or
They would certainly have to come back to you all if that were the case. So
have you thought about that?
You brought it up. It's the first time I've thought about it.
Okay.
I would not imagine adding another sign. I would.
Because you're dominating, those 2 driveways, and then we're going to have a driveway to get to that point, and then you're going to have to get another sign in there, and I'm just kind of looking forward down the road how this is going to turn out. That's all I have.
Mr. Taylor?
I don't have any questions.
Mrs. Smith?
I have a question. Lighting sign? Requesting what, 4, 5 signs?
No, we have sign A, which is along Hamilton Avenue already, and that's approved. We're requesting sign B, which is going to go on the eastern entrance of of Crest Road, and then sign C, which is on the western entrance. What we would do is we would illuminate both sides of each sign with ground-mounted lights, spotlight faced on the sign only.
And this might not,
No.
I see. Lighting, so is it minimum or is it?
Well, right now, I don't have electricity out there. I don't even have anything built for the signs along Crest Road. I would like to be able to illuminate the signs, because I know what it's like to come to work when it's dark out, and I want to make sure that people can see where it is. But I've also seen the illumination that we have on signs and other properties. It doesn't affect the neighbors. The illumination is strictly on the signs from the ground.
Okay, so you're making them taller, the signs taller, opposed to what it was originally?
As opposed to originally. Can you elect?
As opposed to the approved plan, you're asking for a 9 feet foot
Okay,
height.
so it's my understanding that what is permitted is a 2x2 sign that is no taller than 3 feet tall. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's very close. I forgot my zoning resolution. We're grabbing that. I'll have that.
So yes, I am asking for a sign that is roughly 1 to 2 feet taller, just for visibility, and then illumination to each of those signs.
Okay, so if they're higher, that they wouldn't have any effect at all on the neighbors?
We're talking about a foot or a foot and a half. Hold on a second. We're talking about the monument sign on the eastern entrance will have a height of 4 feet as opposed to 2 feet. And the height of the sign on the western entrance will also be 4 feet. But I don't believe, if you're asking me if I think that it's going to affect the neighbors, I don't, because my intent is not to have spotlights shining over the light, but only at the sign. Excuse me, over the sign, only at the sign.
Yeah, I think I understand your intent. I'm just concerned about what your intent might do to the neighbors.
The maximum height in the zoning resolution is 3 feet, and the maximum area is 4 square feet. So, and I think that it would be kind of like a landscape light that you would see sometimes in residential areas that would shine light on like a stone facade or something. So the light wouldn't be pointed at a residence, and it would be captured right on that small sign, and there wouldn't be much creep. So it would just illuminate the sign face.
Again, I'm simply trying to help direct traffic and keep anyone, even visitors, from driving unnecessarily through the neighborhood as well. And I think we have people that come and go at all times of the day. I mean, not really at all times of the day, but certainly I can tell you our deliveries during the wintertime, when it doesn't get light till later, I want them to know where they're going.
Okay. What type of patients will be at the facility?
Sick patients. It depends. We're scheduled to serve multiple levels of care. People with Alzheimer's and dementia, people who are there for a short-term need for some skilled nursing and therapy, and some people for whom this is their home, kind of a combination. But all people who require 24-hour care.
Okay. And it's like going to be a rehab facility also?
Nursing and rehab facility.
And by rehab, it means
not rehab drugs,
not
excuse
like
me.
drug rehab, but yeah, like physical therapy.
Rehabilitation.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Lauf?
So the eastern sign will be the sign B on your picture with the stone base. The western sign will be simply the posts without the stone base, is that?
That's correct.
Anyone else? Okay, I have no questions. I do have a question, but it's not about the signs. What are you doing to take care of the runoff problem?
That's a good
I know that there is one. It's worse than we thought it would be.
That's a good question, and we actually met with, and you're going to have to excuse me names, Bob Efert was out there 2 weeks ago, our general contractor, our civil engineer, and a couple of other people, and we have been working to redirect through some grading to redirect into a catch basin that is between the driveways. You know, you'll have to, on the eastern side of the western driveway, I'm sorry to be confusing, but if you want to pull it up, I'm happy to show you. We've been working to regrade traffic. We're also not finished with paving our driveways yet, and that's certainly part of it. I'm going to walk over. I think you can see there's a catch basin right about here. I'm sorry, right here, I think, towards the right-of-way. And so we were working on providing some additional grading to grade the property this way into the catch basin, so it kind of curves around a little bit. And that was just done, I want to say, at the end of last week.
But that whole driveway, that one catch basin is catching all the water from that,
There's also a catch basin on the driveway.
on the driveway itself?
Yes.
Actually, I've gone by there about every Sunday since you started, because on the way to church on Sunday and watched you build it, and it's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you do need to take care of that water.
I understand.
Okay. If there's no more questions, the chair would entertain a motion to accept the minor amendment to KZA 2013-03, the sanctuary point. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
We moved and seconded that we accept the minor amendment to case number ZA 201303 at sanctuary point. We have a roll call, please.
Mr. Tchaikovsky?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lauf?
Aye.
Mr. Westfall?
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you out there later this summer.
Okay.
Just for a visit, just for a visit.
No,
He had us to look ahead
Gee.
and look on his face.
I know I'm old, but I don't think I'm that old yet.
Thank you.
You-
Sure, we can switch it. Yeah, that's no problem. Sure.
There's another minor change in the agenda. We're going to do, under public hearings, we're going to do case CA 2015-02, 3672 to 3720 Springdale Road. Location 3672, 3680, 3688, 3696, 3704, 3712, 3720 Springdale Road, Cincinnati, Ohio. The request is for a zoning map change from R4 residential to B2 general business. Staff?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this is the final zoning piece to the Kroger project. This rezoning of the referenced parcels will allow for the relocation of Northgate Tire. It'll allow for the expansion of Cincinnatus Building and Loan, and it will offer space for a potential retail development. The applicant is requesting to rezone the parcels from R4 suburban residential to B2 general business. So the bar that needs to be crossed here tonight is severalfold, but one thing that it needs to do is conform with the comprehensive plan. And the area affected by the zone change, which is shown in this slide, right there, there it is. Okay. So here we have the existing zoning. It's right across the street from Northgate Mall. The entrance that you would take to get into the Sears Macy's side of Northgate Mall is directly across from Flat Top there, and that is the project area. So in terms of its conformance with the comprehensive plan, the area is located in the Colerain Avenue character area in our comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan supports the proposed zone change as it envisions this area to be the home of quality commercial uses. There is a map in the comprehensive plan for the Colerain Avenue character area that very clearly shows a business zoning designation going all the way west to Flat Top. There is some discussion in the comprehensive plan about the need to limit commercial creep off of that main arterial corridor. However, my reading of the comprehensive plan, and I wasn't here in 2005, but my reading of the comprehensive plan and specifically that map leads me to believe that commercial development was envisioned to move down Springdale Road at this point. And I believe that Flat Top Road is a hard stop on commercial development. Back in early 2000, the Land Use Advisory Board was considering a concept called a town center concept on the northwest quadrant of the Colerain and Springdale Road intersection. With all of the development that's happened since then, that concept, as articulated by the Land Use Board at the time, has not come to fruition, and that is what it is. But in any case, the comp plan, I believe, supports commercial redevelopment down to Flat Top. The plan also instructs the township to work cooperatively with developers who share the same vision of the community, and on, as it says in the staff report. We also have to look at the land use plan, and we have to keep in mind that the land use plan has not been updated for many, many years. The land use plan right now, there was some confusion actually when I went down to Regional Planning Commission, because as I pulled the land use plan folder for this area, the last zone change, there were several iterations of proposed changes, and one of those iterations was to extend mixed use employment, was the term, as a land use all the way down to Flat Top. The map has never been changed to that extent. Doing some further digging, it appears as though the land use plan that was approved does show that this area was thought to be programmed for residential in the land use plan. So there's this conflict here between our land use plan and our comprehensive plan, and you all will have to be the final arbiters on that. But I believe that it makes sense to have Flat Top as a hard stop, and for commercial development to the west on Springdale Road. I think it's right across from the mall. It makes sense. There's a vacant parcel. We've had several, if you'll remember last summer, we've had several nuisance properties in that strip where the grass is growing 36 inches. I mean, it was horrible, right across from the biggest commercial driver in the township. So I believe that this is a positive thing for the community. So other agency reports, we took it down to Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. They had they voted to recommend denial, and they had 4 reasons why they made that recommendation. First, they said that the proposed project doesn't comply with our land use plan, and we just talked through that issue. They said that their reading of our comprehensive plan was that the project didn't comply with the comprehensive plan, and I disagree with their interpretation of our comprehensive plan. They said that because this isn't a planned development district, they can't force the developer to cede additional right-of-way. That didn't strike me as a very cogent argument. But I would say update your thoroughfare plan to reflect that if there's a zone change, or a straight letter zone change, that you get your right of way that you need. I think that the thoroughfare plan is very important, but to say that you recommend denial because you can't exact right-of-way from a developer because of the zoning district it's going into didn't jive with my way of thinking. And then they talked about how non-PUD zone map amendments have no site plan review, and that's just not correct, because every new business that goes into Colerain Township gets a very thorough site plan review. It's just an administrative site plan review where we take our zoning resolution, which is several hundred pages of rules, and we apply it to every project. So it does in fact get a site plan review. In the end, my arguments were not, they were taken into consideration because they're all very nice people, but we disagreed, and so they ultimately voted to recommend denial. So And now I know that we've had this discussion about the merits of planned development districts versus straight letter zones in the past. I was actually just out in Seattle at the National Planning Conference, and there was a whole session dedicated to the difficulties in administering planned development districts. My thoughts on planned development districts is that they're a very valuable tool to provide flexibility for very special projects in special places. The trouble with planned development districts is that they're fantastic for the first user, right? Because there's this negotiated settlement between, or negotiated zoning between you all and an applicant. The trouble is the next user. It's darn near impossible to have somebody come in and need the exact footprint with the exact everything that the last guy did. So inevitably, it requires a very long process for amendment to the planned development district, and that process is, in my opinion, more inflexible and doesn't necessarily provide more protections for the township than would the application of the straight letter zone. So, my opinion is that the B2 zoning designation does a pretty fantastic job of protecting adjacent properties because it mandates a 40-foot buffer. And if you'll recall some of our planned development districts that have come through in the last few, the buffering has been an issue. And in fact, the outcome has been less than what is prescribed in our zoning resolution. So, it's a hard and fast 40-foot buffer, landscaped buffer, and it provides the flexibility for new tenants in the future to occupy that space without going through a major modification to a final development plan or a minor modification to a final development plan, as the case may be. We saw here tonight that we had on the agenda, a very innocuous change to a final development plan, and it takes time. It takes a lot of staff time to prepare the case, and it takes a lot of your time to study and hear it. So all that is to say that, my recommendation is to approve this request as it is in keeping with the comprehensive plan and the land use vision that's in the comprehensive plan, while there is some uncertainty about the land use plan and its designation. So with that, I recommend approval of the proposed map amendment.
Does the applicant have a presentation they'd like to present?
Good evening. My name is Steve Dragon with Vandercar, 5027 Madison Road, Cincinnati. Appreciate your time this evening. I don't have a whole lot to add to Mr. Mills' presentation. I think he did a very good job of explaining the request. I would point out that in keeping with the presentation, I think a straight letter zoning here is appropriate. A planned unit development designation is very useful as a planning tool when a project is unable to conform to the zoning code as written, and where accommodations have to be made and trade-offs need to be made to make a desirable project function in some ways that are outside the current zoning code. Obviously, with Kroger, we ran into a number of those situations, including buffering adjacent to residential, where the specific zoning requirements couldn't be met, but where other accommodations were able to be negotiated to make it function. I think in this case, I think the township has a very a well-written zoning code that gives protections to adjacent uses through its buffering and screening and landscaping requirements, as well as other development regulations that ensures that a straight letter zoning here will be able to fit appropriately with the adjacent uses, and we'd ask for your approval tonight. One minor clarification I would make is the issue that was brought up at Regional Planning Commission relating to the thoroughfare plan was a little outside the question to begin with, but I would point out I believe that the thoroughfare plan, the right-of-way that is available currently today with these properties is consistent with the thoroughfare plan, so it's not inconsistent. It was more sort of an irrelevant issue, but that's sort of a minor point, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if I could.
Mrs. Smith?
My question has to do again with, the residents. Now, this is gonna change it so there's no longer a residential district? Are there people left that's gonna be affected by this? How is that gonna work out?
Well, there'll be residential remaining to the north, behind this property. There is a requirement, as Mr. Mills stated, for a 40-foot buffer yard, landscape buffer yard, to provide screening and buffering between that existing residential to remain and any new business use that would be put on the subject property.
Okay, so are some of the residents being bought out of this left? How,
I'm sorry, you're referring to the subject property, the outlined property?
yes.
Okay, I apologize, I misunderstood the question. Currently we have five of the parcels from Flat Top going east. Those 5 we have under a contract to purchase, we being Vanderkar. Cincinnatus has a contract to purchase the Vilas property, which is the easternmost property, and so that leaves one property that is not otherwise under contract for purchase, being the Winters property.
One resident will be left?
Yes, one of the residential properties. Right.
Hopefully not, but
Is that house occupied?
I don't know if it's currently occupied or not. I know it's not owner occupied, but I don't know if it's currently rented or not.
So what-
I think they're all occupied now. Yeah, they're all occupied.
Okay, well, that's the question I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Lauf?
Well, my question was very similar. So you have under option the 5 properties heading from Flat Top going east.
Yes,
Then there's one that's not under anyone's option at the moment.
correct.
And then parcel 79 is under option from Cincinnati.
Yes,
So there is one piece of residential still sitting there, although now, if we do this, would be zoned business.
Yes.
right, yes. That's accurate.
Mr. Taylor?
No questions?
Mr. Trukowski?
Jeff?
Yes.
Vilas,
Mhm.
is that a business?
I believe it's an office use at the moment.
Residential?
It's zoned residential, so it's a non-conforming residential.
An old house.
Yeah.
As far as B2, I mean, I'm looking at these uses here. How are we going to control anybody going in there from, and this is just theoretical, a check-and-go place, things of that nature where we still can't control those things right now on Colerain? Seems like more and more have come in and this and that, so how do we control that from coming in here? Because it's a B2 and kind of have our hands strapped.
Yep, that's a,
Also, per chart or table 8.3, are they still going to be held to the 1 acre, 75-foot, 50-foot front lot widths and all that?
yes,
That's all still gonna,
yes.
because I know with Chick-fil-A, we let them go with .75 acres, and we say that we're gonna stay with what we've got here, but then every once in a while, we divert from that.
That's right. And so this is one of those instances where, you know, when we have straight letter zoning, their only outlet is to ask for and receive a variance from our Board of Zoning Appeals. And, you know, my experience with our Board of Zoning Appeals in recent months has been that it's very difficult to get. I mean, they're tough. And so I feel very confident that the minimum lot sizes, the buffers, you know, all those important things, the BZA is not generally ceding right now those points. To your point, which is a very important point about, we'll call them locally unwanted land uses like check cashing places and title. Right now, we've got the moratorium in effect. So there's a 1-year moratorium that is in place right now where those are not permitted, those types of uses are not permitted to come. And the intention is to figure out a way to regulate those in a way that prevents the continual degradation of our community by title cash places.
That moratorium run through this calendar year?
Yes, I believe it's October.
What's the legal basis for that moratorium?
Nuisance. Yep. And the nuisance that is caused by by the aggregation or agglomeration of these types of uses on Colerain Avenue, basically. But we're looking for a way.
That's an action of the trustees.
Yes. Yep. And
Can that moratorium be extended, or do we have to take some kind of zoning action before the moratorium?
we'll take zoning action before that ends. And we're very close on some draft language, basically related to spacing. So right now, Mr. Loft, the way, because I don't think you've been a part of these conversations, the way we regulate them is as financial institutions, and it was determined that they have different impacts from a bank or a credit union. And so we want to pull that type of use out of the definition of financial institution and regulate it as what it is, which is, there are several definitions, but, and likely the types of things that you're going to see are spacing requirements and certain zoning district designations where that's a permitted or conditional use.
In this instance, has anyone spoken to the residents behind the area?
They've been in, and I know that the plans have been reviewed by a number of residents that have come in. I believe there are some residents here tonight that live in the neighborhood, but my phone has not been
Overly active.
been ringing, yeah.
I assume these 6 or 7 parcels specifically were notified of this
Yes.
hearing.
And all the adjacent property.
And Mr. Dragon, what's the proposed uses of these lots?
Well, the intent, at least primarily, is to allow an opportunity for some of the existing businesses that are being dislocated by the Kroger marketplace to have an opportunity to stay in the same general location within the township.
Have they expressed an interest, or are you guys just talking about it?
They have, yeah. We don't have a hard commitment, but there has been very strong interest, yes.
Because right now, the Goodyear is backing up. Is that backing up to residential?
Yes,
And have you had any comments about that
I have not.
since you've been here?
And they've been there since Abner was a baby, so that we have,
he was a baby?
Since Abner.
Okay.
Abner Doubleday, huh?
Yeah.
You bet.
Are all
Got to
these-
keep it light. Come on, this is
Are all
zoning.
these parcels
right.
gonna have? Are all these parcels gonna have a road behind it where it's gonna disturb those residents on the back, or are all the entrances gonna be from Springdale, or are we? I mean, because here's the reality: a year from now, we're gonna be back here probably talking about putting something else in there totally different, and we're gonna be faced with, well, not us, but the zoning board of appeals is gonna be, or they're gonna be faced with something like this. I mean, to try to put something else in there. If they're just talking to these folks over there like Gypsy Klein and Goodyear and whatnot, and everything falls through, then basically we're just kind of left with a straight letter zoning.
Yes, so they would, any project that would come through would have to get a zoning certificate to begin with, and they'd have to meet all of the use and yard requirements, all the buffering, all the lighting, landscaping, parking requirement. Yes. And if they wanted to deviate from any of that, they'd have to go down the tough road of getting a variance from the Board of Zoning.
Yeah.
And the Board of Zoning Appeals is not permitted in Colerain Township to issue a use variance. So any variance that they're not, the only variances that they're permitted to grant are area variances or dimensional variances.
I have another question. Is there a reason that you're leaving just the one resident?
Well, we've made efforts to purchase that property as well, and haven't been able to come to terms with that particular
So
parcel.
if it's rezoned, we're gonna have one resident still left?
One residential parcel, yes.
Again, I say hopefully not.
Well, yeah, I don't think, just an opinion, I don't think it will be a long-term residential property, but that's, I don't want to misrepresent, we do not control that one. It's
Okay, this question is for Stan, I guess.
Yes.
We're in the process of revising or updating the comprehensive plan, is that correct?
Yes.
So it seems logical to me that we would make a zone change after that was all complete.
That's an option. The trouble is the process for going through the comprehensive plan update. Likely that won't be approved. Best case scenario is like March 2016. So if we adopted a policy which was, we're going to hold off on hearing zone change applications until after the comp plan, it would amount to like a de facto moratorium on development. So I don't know that we want to go that direction. I certainly don't want to go that direction, just because it would stifle any kind of development from now until early, first quarter next year.
Well, just my own opinion, it just kind of seems like we're speeding up things to make the corporate development happen.
We're trying to find, Northgate Tire in particular has long been a member of our business community, and we want them to stay in the area. They've got, I can personally attest, I've taken my car there since I was able to drive, and so I would love for them to stay, and we're trying to figure out a good place for them to go, and I think that this represents a very good place for them to go and keep their customer base, and hopefully, obviously they'd have a better building and it would be more attractive.
Okay, so the purpose of zoning is to kind of help the people that are going to be relocated, the businesses that are going to be relocated because of this project?
They will be end users. That's the idea. The idea is that they would be the end users of these properties. So Cincinnatus would be able to expand, and Northgate Tire would relocate, and there would be, I believe, there would be space for like one retail building.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Taylor?
So just before coming here, I drove up there to take a peek around again. It'd been a while. And I'm just curious, does that Fifth Third building come down as part of this? Okay.
It does,
That's
yes.
what I assumed, but that's a nice building.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I have no other questions. That's what I thought.
Okay. Now, as you were making your presentation, we said this is going to be a hard stop at Flat Top.
That's my intention.
But I'm the guy that's worried about business creeping into residential areas, and Springdale Road's having that problem.
Yeah.
Colerain's always had that problem, and they just keep, then they jump across the street on the corner. It's only going to be on the corner. Well, the next thing you know, there's 4 or 5 places on there.
Yeah.
And I think that Flat Top's where it should stop.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course, the land after that's pretty hard to do anything on, but
I agree.
That the west side going west from Flat Top is currently zoned
Residential.
residential.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
So unless this commission changed that,
Yep. Yep. Got it.
I would not be in a particular frame of mind to change.
I would not either.
I don't
Absolutely.
think any of us would.
Yep.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to open up the public comment. Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Do we have to have a roll call? It's been moved and seconded that we open the public comment section of this. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And so appearing the motion's carried. The name we have on here is Angela Anderson. Would you state your name and,
Angela Anderson, 3700 Susanna Drive.
okay, thank you.
Good evening. While we can't stop the development, I feel like that's kind of a losing battle at this point, but I would like to recommend that we keep the same type of wall that's going around the back of our properties and continue on to the back of those 7 properties to keep, if we're going to be boxed in, let's make it look good. And also for the safety of the residents that are back there, noise buffering. So I would like to recommend that we keep the same type of wall that we had asked for with Kroger's being built to be extended. Also, I'm very concerned about traffic going from Flat Top across to the mall. We've already had one horrible accident just over a week ago. Concern traffic. I have not really heard anything more about the traffic. What word am I looking for? Traffic study. Thank you.
Okay.
For us in that area, being Springdale and Colerain and with Flat Top. At the moment, that's all I can think about. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was the only name that was on the list. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? None so appearing, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public comment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so appearing, we'll close it.
I have a question for Ms. Mills.
Okay, you go first.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea. I don't know if we have, in this matter tonight, any way to make that happen.
So the buffer would be, so the planting requirements for a buffer yard would be a 6-foot-high fence or wall or an earthen mound or earth berm. And there would be 3 evergreen trees and 6 shrubs for every 60 linear feet. So that's 1 evergreen tree every 20 feet and 6, 1 shrub basically every 10 feet. So that it wouldn't be a 12-foot-high fence. And this
Could
is
it be?
Could it be?
Is it a minimum of 6 feet, or is it specifically?
It says a 6-foot-high fence. And here's another consideration on that site. So on the Kroger, which is on the northeastern corner of this map on the screen, the wall, the 12-foot wall, was going to be on the west side of that site. On this site, that 12-foot wall would be on the south side of all of those. And so when you, in low winter sun,
Yeah, so.
boy, that's
So 12 feet might be too big, but at least having the same kind of design characteristics
materials?
as a 12-foot wall, I think aesthetically would be good.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking, this is a zone change.
Yeah.
As part of that zone change, do we even have the ability to say, hey, you have to do this
You would
wall?
not, no.
That's what I thought, okay. So it's a great idea, and I like it.
But we would see the final development.
No, this wouldn't have a final development plan. This would be administratively reviewed, and we would apply the rules that are in the zoning resolution. Yeah.
So is that the highest we can go, is just the 6 feet?
6 feet, yeah.
Because we're also talking about the safety of the residents behind that. I mean, they can scale a 6-foot wall. That's not a problem. With no problem.
I hear what you're saying, but think about a 12-foot wall too. I mean, it might really box you in there.
Well, we're gonna have one in our backyard already, so.
Okay, I don't know exactly where you're at and what the, but what I'm saying though,
We're in the circle.
regardless of that, we don't have the capability to enforce what you're asking for as part of this motion tonight. Even if we wanted to, we can't. All this is for a zone change.
Same type of material and look.
We
Many cans.
can't even do that. We can, they're listening, I see them making notes here, the developers, and hopefully they'll take that into account, but we don't have the ability to enforce it. Correct?
Right, and that's something, we can talk with the applicants as they come in about matching materials. A 6-foot fence with those materials wouldn't be nearly as big of an issue as the 12-foot fence, because you'll recall the issue was wind loading, and they would have to pour footer foundations for all the piers if it was 12 feet tall. So I think the applicants might be much more amenable to using similar materials on a 6-foot wall because the cost isn't as
Or
dramatic.
maybe there's a mid-ground, maybe it's an 8-foot wall. I mean,
Yeah.
I think feel better, the noise, I mean, you're talking about.
What about safety though? Is there a cost on our safety?
I don't believe that the uses that we're talking about generate crime. I don't have statistics to back that up, but it's a bank. It's a tire place that exists. It would just be relocated. We haven't seen a lot of crime in Stone Creek.
What,
I don't recall hearing of any particular bubbling up of crime after the Stone Creek development. I'm not sure if.
we talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
We proved that, because I was on the commission
Yeah.
at the time, and that was a concern. And
In terms of
saying that
outcomes,
since built, we have not,
No.
that concern has not come to.
it has not come to fruition. So I don't know if there's a correlation. What I'm saying is I'm not sure that there's a correlation between commercial uses and crime, any more than there is.
one thing that would be different from the Kroger development that's been presented versus this is the setbacks in this B2 zone. The buffer zone is much wide, it's a minimum of 40 feet.
Yes.
So You're going to have a lot more buffer zone in these areas if this is approved versus what some of the other stuff that's been talked about in the
40
Kroger
feet
development.
from the building or the
Pavement. There would be no pavement, 40 feet. It's a landscape buffer area from the residential lot line, in this case, south, before any pavement or anything.
So any pavement, any building.
Yeah.
What
Nothing in it.
is, you know, I wasn't here for the Kroger one, what is the rough amount of buffer you've got on behind Kroger?
At a minimum, it's 10.
10?
Yeah, but they got a 12-foot wall.
Yeah.
12.
There are places, yeah, I was thinking 12 or 15.
All right, that's, yeah, I can see.
Quite a difference
Yeah, yeah,
for
very,
40 feet, yeah. I mean,
Which is why the wall became very important.
yeah.
So
Mr.
just
Trukowski?
to give you a visual, the 40-foot buffer would be somewhere from here to the end of that wall. And from your fence line or from your property line to that wall would be grass, trees, whatever it is that we have to put in at the buffer zone. And the building or pavement would start on that wall over there, plus the fence that would be erected.
I understand that, but we also heard at the last meeting from residents that are backed up into Stone Creek that the noise still is loud. You've got trucks backing up, their beepers are going off, trash cans are being emptied. So we're gonna get it from both sides now. We're gonna get it from Kroger's and from the other side. So
But what's the noise level or activity right now? If you're in that cul-de-sac, you're closer to the Cincinnatus and Gypsy Klein or Fifth Third, and that, but Goodyear's all the way on the other side. What is it like right now?
I hear everything.
And what is the traffic pattern, and what is the
I
traffic?
can second that as well too.
I hear everything.
And what is the traffic like right now off of Northbrook from the mall and what, I mean, I travel Springdale, but not often.
It's terrible.
Even with the light there.
During the holidays, it's the worst. Right now, it's not as bad. You have to worry more about being run over. There's people that speed up and down Springdale right at that intersection of Flat Top.
Laptop, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I know what you meant. They run stop signs and lights. and-
Even with the light there, they
Yeah, I almost got creamed coming out one morning. Somebody ran a red light.
yeah, that's kind of true, because out of the mall and the entrance mall, one light goes green and the other one goes red, and they try to catch it right away, right at that section.
I'm assuming that there would not be the intent of having any entrance or exit onto Flat Top.
I don't know. I don't know. No.
That's the question I was asking. What kind of access are we putting to these parcels? Is it just from Springdale, or are we having them from Flat Top and behind them, or are we gonna
have to
end
see.
up connecting
I know that
those
you.
parcels to the Kroger parcels?
Right.
I mean, that's where
Um,
that's where it's going to, because we'll have a 40-foot buffer and then pavement, and then we can connect it to the Kroger, and then the building could be up front and minimal setbacks.
Yep.
Then we have an entrance from one street and from entrance from Kroger, and then entrance from Springdale, and then there starts going into.
Yeah. It would have to have a lighted intersection. So at this stage, well, again, you know, we would apply the rules that are in the book to any site plan that would come in. So we're not at the level of granularity that you're used to seeing in a final development plan for access. But those issues are addressed in our zoning. So
anything beyond this will be to the discretion of what you guys review in office, I mean, in the office,
Administrator.
and not having to go through any zoning board appeals or
And that's right. And it's not a discretionary act on our part, so it's considered a ministerial act or an administrative act. So we take the rules and we apply them. So we don't make judgments, you know, sometimes on interpretation, but, you know, when it's black and white, it's hard to misinterpret.
So any variances or anything above and beyond that would have to go to the zoning board of appeals?
Correct.
And is there any recourse for public?
Yes,
So,
very much so. Yep.
so if they're going to review it in-house, so there's no boards, and if they want any variances, anything outside of that, you're again welcome to come in and do the public hearing and voice your opinion.
You know, for example, if they were to say.
Only if they had,
Yeah.
only if they wanted something.
Right.
They, meaning the gentlemen that are sitting here, they wanted something above and beyond and something that Mr. Mills would flag.
Yeah, that's right. And that happens.
And you don't have the discretion to approve that.
I don't.
That would have to come.
Yeah, I don't have, no. Yeah, absolutely not. It's my, I'm obliged to, yeah.
Do you know if this is B2, can they put an exit entrance onto Flat Top?
I'd have
Is
to
that
study that.
prohibited?
I think it would be very, it would depend a whole lot on where the line is. Yeah, I'm thinking right now that there's a rule that there's no entrance to a commercial property through a residential, I don't, so I've got to see how the wording is. I don't know off the top of my head.
Plus, isn't there a minimum distance of 100 to 120 feet from the corner?
Yeah, how deep are those lots? Do you know?
100,
Probably about 100.
Mr. Drake?
150?
150.
So I think there's a minimum,
The
distance.
question is, with a
from the-
40-foot setback and 100 from the.
Correct. I think there's a minimum distance,
Close.
especially, I don't know if the 30-foot triangle comes into play, and after that, but I think there is a minimum distance from any intersection or street like that you cannot have an entrance less than 120 feet away from the intersection. So that would set it all the way back, and then you have the buffer zone, so it would be virtually impossible to put one on that side street.
We'd be right on, that's what, yeah.
That's good.
So any entrances would have to be either accessed through the Kroger lot that would be approved on the back of the buildings, and all the entrances would have to be from Springdale.
That makes sense.
You're already going to have added traffic with Kroger coming in, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, last meeting we were here, we can't come home during the holidays coming down Colerain Avenue from either side to turn on to Springdale. Traffic is horrific. I know fire trucks and police have a hard time getting through that intersection. So, and like I said, now traffic is starting to pick up. In the summertime, people are even driving more quickly, and so we just had the worst accident I've seen so far, being here 2 years, was just not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So it's a concern, and we have a lot of people that walk their dogs,
Right.
bicycles, walk their children,
There's sidewalk along,
catch a bus, that's a big thing too, catching a bus.
I don't think there
If
is.
I think it's only a partial, it only goes part way or something.
yeah. I do think, and Mr. Dragon can maybe speak a little bit, if I'm even on the right track here, but I think at some point throughout the whole Kroger development, we talked about the whole light pattern at Springdale and Colerain is going to have to be changed, and I know that's an ODOT project and all, but we've talked, you're right, that light, especially holidays, is terrible. I live further down Springdale, so I go through there quite a bit. But I think once this Kroger Marketplace is up and running, I mean, those lights are all going to have to be changed, retimed. I mean, that's part of the traffic study, I think, that has been done and will be done after it's built.
Yeah, that was part of the recommendations for retiming the signals, and they're interconnected on Colerain, as well as adding additional pavement at that intersection to allow for an additional through lane to help move the traffic through that intersection more quickly, or more efficiently, I should say. So, yeah, it will change somewhat. I mean, obviously, there will be more traffic from the Kroger as well, but.
Thank you.
I'm guessing that the traffic from Tyre, Cincinnatus, and maybe one other thing would disappear in the rounding by comparison to Kroger. I mean, I'd say we may have a big problem as Kroger, and it's going to have to be worked out. But I just can't imagine that, compared to the amount of traffic you see at a Kroger store, that, you know, the Tyre and, you know, Cincinnati, I mean, whatever you could imagine going in there would be a huge, big chunk more traffic than the Kroger one is going to be the one that's going to cause real studies. I'm not quite as worried about the traffic aspect here. I would be worried about not trying to ensure that we don't have any access
Yes.
to the flat top, and I'm hoping that the dimensions work out in our favor on this, so that
Sure.
it'd be almost impossible to do
Under the zoning. And this is, and to, in no way should this diminish the problems of traffic, but isn't it great that now we're talking about too much traffic, too many people trying to be in Colerain Township? I mean, because there was a time when, Northgate Mall was there, we did not have a problem with traffic at
Hanging by
Northgate
a
Mall.
thread.
Right, exactly. So, I'm really excited that we're now to the point where we're talking about this problem where too many people want to come to Colerain Township,
Mr. Mills, if I may ask a question. As you well know, the underground utilities is going to get started this year there along Colerain and Springdale Road. Also, there's supposed to be ODOT putting in new traffic signal pole. Has anybody considered any of this information?
Yes.
I just thought maybe the board might want to question about that.
There are projects that are proposed to change, to bury the utilities and put mast arms in. And it'll be a boon for the aesthetics of that corner. Thank you.
I have no further comment.
Mr. Lau?
Yeah, well, I would just, I mean, for what it's worth, I recognize that this was 2005, because I remember sitting in long sessions working on the comprehensive plan.
Oh, yes.
But I'm just looking at it, and it certainly looks to me like the comprehensive plan envisioned business use to flat top. I mean, that's, for what it's worth, I guess I read the comprehensive plan. I don't remember
Yeah.
going back 10 years. But just reading it here tonight, looks to me like you're correct in your assumption that imagined
Yeah.
business going to flat top and then stop and then keep it residential.
Yeah. That's how. Thanks.
Mrs. Smith?
I have no further comment, thank you.
Okay, does anybody on the commission have any comments? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to accept case ZA 2015-02, 3672 to 3720 Springdale Road. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Tchaikovsky?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
No?
Mr. Lauf?
Yes.
And Mr. Westfall?
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, now we're going to go up to number A, case number ZA 2015-01, text amendment, Article 3, Article and Section of 3.3.6B. Staff?
Very good. So we talked about this, actually the Zoning Commission initiated this text amendment at staff request. The text amendment clarifies and changes the process by which the Board of Zoning Appeals approves or denies a variance. The intention, if you'll recall, is to shorten the amount of time that it takes for someone who has let me start here. The process for the Board of Zoning Appeals begins when an applicant is denied a zoning certificate following one of the reviews that we just talked about. The applicant then applies for a variance, which gets put on a docket about 30 days out. They're heard at the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, and at the end of that meeting, there is public participation, deliberation, and then a straw vote, where the Board of Zoning Appeals is polled, basically, as to what they're feeling about the case. From that straw vote, staff then goes back and prepares a resolution, and then at the next hearing, the Board of Zoning Appeals approves that resolution, and it's called the journalization of the resolution, and that's the point at which their approval is formalized. That's a long process, and my thought through this whole thing is that if somebody, if the board has already decided that they're going to approve or deny, why not just make that the moment when it's final? So what we did was a very minor surgical tweak to the the text of the resolution, which says that the board shall act by resolution or motion. Okay, so that would allow the motion at the end of their deliberations to serve as the final say. They'll continue to have findings of fact. Those findings of fact will be enunciated in their motion, in their verbal motion, and we'll work with them to build their capacity to make quality motions that incorporate findings of fact, which are very important. The final point that I'll share with you all is that the Board of Zoning Appeals had to also make a change to their bylaws that would to accommodate this change, and they have amended their bylaws. So the only thing that's preventing this process from getting underway is getting this text amendment changed. Once you all make your recommendation to the trustees, we'll take it to the trustees, and they will use their legislative authority to make that change.
Mr. Krzyzewski, do you have any comments or questions?
No.
Mr. Taylor?
No, sir.
Mr. Lau?
So this is a change to the zoning resolution
Correct.
that's designed to basically knock a month out of that process.
Yep.
Mrs. Smith?
No questions?
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to accept case number ZA 2015-01, text amendment for Article Section 3.3.6B. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Second? Is there a second?
I'll second
Been moved and seconded that we accept case number ZA, the text amendment ZA 2015-01 for Article Section 3.3.6B. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Chakowski?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lauf?
Aye.
Mr. Westfall?
Aye. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is an informal concept review. There is none. Next on the agenda is old business. Any old business?
There's none?
Next on the agenda is new business. I have some new business. As we were going up 275 yesterday.
We weren't going, we were sitting.
Okay, yeah, well.
Let's be real.
Yeah, well, okay. Happened to look over at Walmart, and there's about 12 storage containers on the back of their lot,
On the outside.
on the side of their lot that you can see from 275.
Yeah. They're making they're doing an interior alteration to that building, and those trailers are part of the construction project. They came in and talked to us about it, and they're temporary, so customers wouldn't see them as they come in the front.
But why didn't they put it in the back like we did the Christmas stuff?
I think isn't it where we?
They're on the side.
They're on the side.
There's the house door thing.
Okay.
Where that door part is.
I'll have to go back to them, because what I said to them was that, they needed to be out of sight.
They're not.
Okay, thank you.
There's about 12 of them there.
Yep, all right, we'll have a conversation with them about that.
Okay, does anybody else have any new business?
Have we ever made any attempts with the RV place?
I wonder what that's zoned.
Because, they're kind of like coming closer. You're going to see the RV.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if.
This is the RVs along 275.
Yeah, my first induction.
I remember that development.
My first induction to this was arguing about the trees up on Struble about the RV, which I really didn't care because it was facing Rumpke.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a 30-minute conversation. How big of a chunk should
Right.
be on a tree?
Yeah.
But they seem to be encroaching or parking more closely to the detention basin there.
I'm going to have to check I think it is a final development plan. I think that it's a planned development district. So I'll check their final development plan, and it should have use areas outlined there. So we should be able to check on that.
Anybody else? Administration? You got any?
None. I've got an announcement.
Oh, I do have a question. Is there a meeting tomorrow night, PAC meeting to introduce members of the project, like it says on here?
Yes, tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Technical advisory committee? No. Wait a minute. What are we talking about?
That's us.
No, we're not the technical.
Yes, we are.
No, you guys are the
Oh, okay,
CPAC,
no, we're not. You're right.
Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. We have,
So we start on the 6th of May with the
yes,
outreaching.
Yes.
And I assume you would prefer that some of us be at each of those.
Love for you guys to be there. Yes, absolutely.
For each one of those.
As many as you want to or can. How
Well,
about?
as many as can get there.
Yeah, that'd be great. I understand that this is
My request.
an aggressive schedule. So, and, so,
And read the second outreach strategy, so we are well versed on what we're trying to do. And those are good because when we did them the last time, we got a lot of good ideas.
yes.
So if you go and you listen, you can, is there any announcement?
There is an announcement. So,
No.
yeah. So, it's kind of a bittersweet announcement for me. I was offered and accepted a job in Covington, Kentucky. So this will be my second to last zoning commission meeting. I'm excited though that I'll be continuing on with the comprehensive plan process. My new responsibilities start June 1st, and I just wanted to share with you guys that I continue to be in awe of your commitment and dedication to the township. You guys have been so fantastic to work with, and it is something that I've learned a lot from you all, and really enjoyed working with you. So it's going to be very difficult to make the transition, but I think that we leave it in good hands, and we're beginning the search right now. The job is posted, and we've started to receive applications, and there will be somebody very well qualified to fill this seat, and Julia and Becky, of course, do a phenomenal job, and so we're in good hands. And so anyway, that's my announcement, and thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
I would just like to say, and I think all the other commissioners are great. We've enjoyed working with you, and you've been a big help to us.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Our next meeting is May 19th, 2015. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Right. Nice job tonight.